I'm Darren DuPont. This is the Husky homecoming game. These are the Togas, and you're watching.
Well, we did it. We made it to week 2 here on Huskies All Access in the second show. I'm Darren DuPont alongside Dallas Carpenter and Tom Croker, and we welcome you back inside the Huskies All Access studios here for week number 2, and we're on an up week because the Huskies are 1-0. First thing we'll do today is we'll check the highlights. The Huskies in homecoming week as they took on the Manitoba Bisons at home.
Drew Burko, Lawrence Nixon ready for their first game together, and they get rolling early on. Down 3-0, Burko engineering a drive of his own. Long pass over the middle finds running back Shane Buchanan. This one tipped. Great job by Buchanan to track it and picking up the big gain. Then it's Buchanan again, this time on the ground on the counter. Finds a big hole, 22 yards for the first down into Bison's territory. And then Burko in the red zone on play action, finding Andre Lalonde, the newcomer, into the end zone. The Huskies' first touchdown of 2014, and it's Andre Lalonde, the former Saskatoon Hilltop, with his first career CIS touchdown. 7-3 Huskies. Bison's answer to take a 10-7 lead, and in the second quarter, they're threatening to add to it. All the way down the sidelines, finding Dustin Peterson hauling it in. That sets up this. Jordan Yance to Keenan LaFrance over the middle, putting the Bisons up by 10. What a grab by LaFrance, extending the body into the end zone for the touchdown. Back to Burko now. He hooks up with Mitch Hillis over to the left side, one of Hillis' 8 receptions on the game. Then on the rollout, it's Burko, and he hooks up with John Trumpy in the end zone, another former Hilltop, finding the score for the Huskies. Great shoestring catch by Trumpy. It's Burko again, this time over the middle, and he's picked off. Tyler Fong with the interception, and he's going to take this all the way into Husky territory over the 20-yard line into the red zone. Now Yance rolling out to his right, looking for Alex Vitt in the end zone, finds it. Vitt, great job towing the line, getting the left foot down for the major. Lead back to 10 for the Bisons. Now Huskies marching. 3rd and 4 now, late in the opening half, and Burko on the rollout. He's going to pick up the first down. Check out the block by receiver Bryden Ozmun. Boom! Great hit. That's Nipowin's strength right there. Now Burko, off the strength of that 3rd down conversion, finds Kit Hillis. The 50-year receiver finds the end zone with 17 seconds left in the half. The Bisons lead cut to 3 at the break. Second half now. After a Kolodinsky field goal to tie it early, late in the third quarter on the punt, it's Keenan LaFrance, and he puts it on the carpet. Ball rolling around. The Huskies think they've got it, and they do have it. Huskies with the turnover, and that leads to this. It's Burko to Jarvis James on the handoff. He cuts back to the middle, finds his way into the end zone, and the Huskies capitalize here. The Huskies seizing the lead. Jordan Yance looking to respond for the Bisons. He had 300 yards in this one. This time he's flushed out of the pocket and picked off by Mark Ingram, the 2013 CIS All-Canadian, with the interception. And then Burko to his left finds Bryden Osbon on the 1. He steps into the end zone, his first career CIS touchdown. That stretches the Huskies' lead to 17. The Huskies wouldn't look back. The Bisons, 170 yards in penalties in this one, 115 in the first half. As the Huskies, they pull off the win on homecoming, moving to 1-0. Burko, 233 yards and 4 touchdowns in this one. Huskies off to face Alberta in week 2. The Bisons to take on the Rams.
Huskies continuing to be dominant on home openers now as You got to go back to 2002 to find their last home opener loss, and that was against the Manitoba Bisons. Is back in the studio here with Dallas Carpenter, Tom Croker, and guys, that was a real tale of two halves in that football game.
It was a great team effort in all three phases, I thought, but the tide really turned when the defense cranked up the pressure, got after Manitoba's quarterback, Jordan Yance. To contrast this performance with the conference semifinal playoff loss from last year, is like night and day. It was really encouraging to see. I know fans leaving the game were just as excited as the players were.
The first half is kind of what we thought we'd see out of this game. Close, back and forth. Jordan Yance was on point and on target, but that second half, the defense completely shut him down.
Well, not only that, but the offense really took control there. Right before the half, Drew Burko threw an interception, and that led to a Manitoba touchdown. And they marched back right away, scored another touchdown right before the end of the half, and that really kept the momentum in their favor. And so I think that really helped the team go into the second half and keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, it really did. All right, so time to dish out this week's game balls in the Huskies opening week win. Tom, we'll start down at the end of the table with you.
I'm going to go with Huskies defensive coordinator Ed Carlton. I believe he deserves a ton of credit for the adjustments he made in the second half. Chief among those, I believe, was sticking with 4 down linemen in second and long situations. This really kept the pressure on Yance. Way to go, Bomber.
All right, Dallas?
Well, I'm going to go with Shane Buchanan this week. He was kind of the forgotten tailback coming out of camp. There was a lot of hype around Andre Lalonde and Jarvis James and the new guys like Caden Johnson and Tyler Chow. But they started Shane, and he had 88 yards rushing as the starter, and he did a great job in there, and kudos to him. It's, he really stepped up.
All right, I'm going to flip my game ball into 3 pieces, and it's going to go to Andre Lalonde, John Trumpy, and Bryden Osbon for their first career CIS touchdowns in the opening week win. And actually, Bryden Osbon, one of our athletes we're going to preview this week in the player profile, that's coming up a little bit later on in the show. We'll also talk to head coach Brian Towris when we return to Huskies All Access, and we're going to head to the Graham Construction Huskies Clubhouse. We'll be back. Welcome back to Huskies All Access here at the Graham Construction Huskies Clubhouse as the Huskies on their week preparing for their second game against the Alberta Golden Bears, and had an opportunity to sit down once again with head coach Brian Towris in our weekly coaches chat. Brian, first of all, congratulations on the week 1 win.
Thank you very much.
It's got to feel good to get the first one out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tough opponent, and I thought our kids played really well. It was a character win. Anytime you can come from behind and shut a team out in the second half and put up some points, it's satisfying.
It's pretty much exactly what we expected, especially after our talk. Obviously we didn't expect as much scoring and that big of a separation, but when we talked last week, you kind of mentioned that there's going to be some adjustments, there's going to be some growing pains. We kind of saw that in the first half, and it seemed to be ironed out in the second.
Well, our defense made a couple key adjustments, and it really threw them off guard a little bit, and I don't think they were big things, but just enough to change their picture a little bit and maybe make Yance take a second look, and by then our pass rush got there, and I said our defense was just phenomenal in the whole second half.
Yeah, what seemed to change as far as, from a player standpoint and on that sideline? It was a complete tale of 2 different halves.
Well, football's such an emotional game, Once you get things rolling and they start to go your way, it's so it just builds and snowballs over and over, and I think that's what happened. We put some doubt in their mind. We scored early, we got the ball back, and then that whole snowball started rolling. The momentum all came our way, and the defense continued to make plays, and fortunately we were able to convert enough of those turnovers into points and get a pretty good spread at the end.
You guys have had a chance to look at some of the film. Anything you didn't like from that game?
Well, the only thing I could say that we didn't like, I think it took us a little while to get to game speed. Because we didn't have an exhibition game. Now, neither did Manitoba, but they were playing at a different speed than we were in the first quarter. They outflanked us several times with their speed sweep to the short side of the field, or outside zone to the short side of the field. We didn't get the pressure on Yance that we needed to. They were just a step ahead of us for the first quarter, for sure, and then I thought we settled in. And the only other concern I had that, we got four turnovers, and we turned 2 of those turnovers into points. I would like to see us turn, with the field position we had, I thought we should have had another 3 or another 7 points in the second half.
It's always tough, and one of the things with football come are injuries, and
you know, with losing Matt on the offensive line early, you know, talk about where's he at, and you know, what did that do to this to your team?
Well, it's not a good situation. It's torn bicep. I mean, that was pretty evident. We knew that before he came off the field, just looking at him. And you know, it's one of those things you could probably brace up and play with a little bit. But he's a young kid, and you know, we're checking to see if he has injury eligibility left since he went down early. And you know, if not, you know, certainly if our coaches are going to recommend that he gets it fixed. And it's a sad thing. Matty's a great football player. He's an outstanding student, and really what kind of college student athletes are all about.
For sure. Shifting to week 2, you got Alberta, and obviously they had a tough opening week. How does the preparation now change for Alberta?
Well, we've got to, you know, nothing changes for us. We want to go 1-0 this week, so we're putting in the work, doing everything that we have to do. I also know Alberta are a better football team than they were a year ago. They got into a bit of a hornet's nest in Calgary, and we've all been there. Other teams have been there when they come here. If you get a jump, and you know, Calgary scored their first 2 possessions, and Alberta turned it over a couple times, and then again it snowballed on them. But if they hang in the game and don't make a bunch of mistakes early, then they have some weapons on offense. You know, I think they put up 300 yards offense, which isn't bad against the Calgary defense, considering that they didn't have the ball that much. So.
People are talking about Alberta taking another step and maybe being about a year or 2 away still.
Well, you know, as I said before, I don't think Alberta's going to finish first or second, but it wouldn't surprise me that they win enough games to make the playoffs. And we only have them once this year, so it's probably doubly more important for us. No, sorry, we do get them twice this year. We got them early, we get them late in the year here. So it's important that we get a jump and do our best to win this football game this week.
All right, BT, we'll leave you with that.
Good,
Again,
thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Yep. Appreciate it.
There's Brian Towers, the head coach of the Huskies, and this week on Huskies All Access. All right, this segment's called Minute With. Here we're with Mark Ingram. Mark, how it works, 1 minute on the clock, series of random questions, answer as quick as you can, all right?
It's like Family Feud, I get it.
You got it.
Do it.
All right, timer's on the clock, and here we go. All right, 2013 CIS All-Canadian, 1 interception, all right? You had 2 interceptions, you doubled your total already in week 1. How many interceptions is Mark Ingram going to get in 2014?
Well, I wouldn't say much more than that, but I'd be happy if I finished with 3 or 4.
Your brothers Bryce and Connor are athletes, baseball and hockey. Who's the best athlete of the Ingram brother?
I'm probably going to be up to say this, but he's got to be Connor. Connor's he's a pretty good athlete at everything he does. So.
Who's the golden child?
Probably Kieran, actually, the one who doesn't play any like sports past high school, but he's the funniest one by far.
You say you admire your father. What's the one quality you admire the most?
Definitely his modesty and the respect that he garners from other people. I wish I had that.
We sat down with Kit Hillis on our player profile last week. He said you're the funniest guy in the team. Why is that?
Probably because I make fun of Kit a lot, and he probably thinks I'm joking, but you know, some people are like that.
All right, 6 seconds, 2 things we don't know about you.
Let's see, I have no teeth thanks to hockey, and I don't know, that's all I got.
Close. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
You too.
All right, there's Mark Ingram. Don't go away. Coming up, this week's Husky Player Profile.
Here at Griffith Stadium for homecoming game, the first home opener for the Husky football team, and that includes the annual running of the togas, where students from the University of Saskatchewan, they dress in their togas and come to the stadium for halftime when they get a chance to run a lap around the track in the annual running of the togas.
This year was no different than the rest, as a ton of Husky fans from the University of Saskatchewan donned their togas some many hours before game time, all in anticipation of running the annual Running of the Togas, which happened at halftime.
It's a tradition. It's the one time that you really got to tear the bed sheets off of your bed and not toss them in the laundry immediately. It was unreal.
It was really tiring though.
Oh gosh, I'm out of breath.
It was awesome. Really fast. Super exhilarating. Shoes.
Oh, it was a blast. You can chant anything and everybody joins in. I started up a chant of random chanting and everybody loved it. It caught on like wildfire. It was hilarious.
So much fun.
Probably the most fun, close to most fun I've ever had.
Highly suggested.
Definitely.
The find the origin of the Togas, you got to go all the way back to 1961. They first made their appearance in conjunction with a student-organized event involving a Roman holiday on campus. And the tradition has continued ever since in conjunction with the Husky homecoming game. And this year was just as good as the rest. It was a blast to be in the stands amongst the Togas during the homecoming game again this year.
We're up here in the lounge at the Graham Husky Clubhouse for today's player profile with receiver Brydon Ozmun. Brydon, first of all, thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on an opening first week win.
Thank you.
First of all, just talk about that win and what that meant to this team and what it took to get that victory.
I think it was a solid team win for us. It's been kind of a while since we've had a real synchronized O and D, cohesive win.
17. Burko has time, sends it up, completes it for the touchdown. Bryden Ozmun with the major score.
And being able to contribute in the win has to feel nice as well. Talk about your first touchdown.
Yeah, it's kind of been a long time coming. I've been waiting for that, and it was nice. Even though I only had the one catch in the game, for it to be a touchdown, it was nice to get that that one under the belt. Hopefully there'll be more to come. So.
Take us through that touchdown and your first career CIS touchdown.
I really wasn't expecting to get it. I try to run all my routes hard, put a few moves on, kind of mess with the DBs a little bit, but I wasn't really expecting it to come to me. And I turned around, ball's in there, and it's kind of just didn't even really have time to think about it. Just put my hands out, and before I knew it, I was in the end zone.
How much more special was that to be able to get your first touchdown at home, especially in homecoming in front of over 8,000 fans?
Oh, that was fantastic. It was awesome because I had a bunch of friends at the game, and my whole family was there. Girlfriend in the crowd, and it was just really special for me, and it meant a lot. So I really showed it out there when I kind of did the old spike, and So I just I was ecstatic. I was emotions through the roof.
Take us through your pregame routine. What's your pregame routine like?
We go out as receivers to Chianti's and get some, pasta, a little pregame meal a few hours before the game. And then for me, I just like to go and chill around the clubhouse, talk to the guys, kind of just get, relaxed and cooled down. And that's about it. I don't really have any routines or superstitions or anything like that I do. I just, get relaxed and get ready to play the game.
Jason Claremont once said that the last thing he does before heading out on the field is brush his teeth. So he feels like that's the way you start the day, that's the way you start the game. Is there something that you do, the last thing you do before you head onto the field?
Not anymore. I used to have a pair of those Beats headphones, and I would, put them on right before we went out and listen to Amazing by Kanye West. But I just don't really anymore. We're not really supposed to listen to the music before we head out anymore, so I just get relaxed and cool down a bit before you're on the dog and your energy gets really high. And
there was a play right before the second half in that game. Drew Burko was taking a quarterback sneak, I think, or a draw to the left side. It was third down, and you made a devastating block on one of the Bisons, and we caught it on camera.
The dying minute of the first half. Burko pulls it down, calls his own number, will get the first down, and will scramble.
What did that feel like? Take us through that play.
I just wanted to do something to contribute. As a receiver, I always base my how I view my own usefulness. If I'm catching the ball and I wasn't really being targeted, so I wanted to some way contribute to the game, and I've been trying to be more physical on the blocking part of it, and I saw a guy run after Drew, and I thought it was Evan Gill at first, so I was like, yes. But
what kind of player do you try and be? Is there a player you try and emulate your game after?
Not really, no. I kind of try to be my own person. I don't really try to copy anyone or anything like that. I'm a real firm believer in just being your own person and your own player.
From Nipawin to here, what's been the biggest adjustment? Obviously, 9-man football to 12-man football, more players on the field, a smaller community to a bigger community. What's been the biggest adjustments you've had to make in your CIS career?
Just learning more about the game. When I was in high school, I got by just being a good athlete, and I like playing 9-man and being from like a school that's not really known for football. I had a lot to learn, and I was able to pick most of it up pretty quickly, but there was a bit of a learning curve that I had to adjust to.
Right on. Well, we appreciate your time. That's all we
Thank
got for you.
Thank you very much.
All right, there's Brydon Ozmun and this week's player profile.
When we come back, we're heading into the studio to tee up the Huskies Week 2 matchup against the Alberta Golden Bears.
Welcome back in the studio now for Huskies All Access. It's time to get you set for Huskies Week 2 matchup. And this week they're in Alberta taking on the Alberta Golden Bears. And back inside the studio, Darren Dupont alongside Dallas Carpenter and Tom Croker. And guys, time for the keys to victory in this one. And obviously we know about Alberta's struggles, but what does Saskatchewan have to do, Tom, on offense here in this game?
I think it's really important to get off to a fast start, considering the way they got blown out last week and the long losing streak they've had. I think if we can get a couple of scores early, that might break their spirit. Also, let's take care of the ball. They're not nearly as bad a team as they showed last week, but they aren't as good as the Huskies. And I think their easiest ticket to victory for the Bears is if we make mistakes, and that begins with turnovers. And lastly, I'd like to see us stretch the field a little bit and target Julian Lynch with some long balls. He's a player that Dallas and I have been talking about at Husky Outsider for a couple of seasons now. He's an athletic kid. He's a mismatch for any DB in the country, and it'd be great to see him become a part of the offense.
Yeah, he's one player we didn't really see a lot of in week 1, and as the season moves on, I'm sure we'll see more of him. But one player we did see is some of the newcomers, including John Trumpy.
Very talented slot back that joins us from the Outstanding Hilltops program. He's got great hands, runs fantastic routes. We had a chance to speak with Braxton Lawrence a couple of weeks ago, and he told us that during his five-year career with the Hilltops, Trumpy was the toughest receiver he had to cover during practice. So that's high praise indeed.
That sure is. Now shifting our focus to the defensive side of the ball, Dallas. And this Alberta Golden Bears team put up 300 yards of offense against the tough Calgary D in week 1.
Right, and they have the firepower to do that. Joel McKendy, who's their running back, he put up 97 yards rushing, so he's a guy that they're going to have to keep an eye on. They're going to have to tighten up their defense and just kind of keep rolling how they were playing in the second half of the Manitoba game last week. Another thing they're going to have to do is get their hands up. They have a good tall defensive line, and they're going to have to get their hands up against Ryan Schwartz because he's a pass-happy quarterback. So if they can tip a few balls or knock a few balls down, that'll really help things out. And then on special teams, Treboy Martinez, they have to get him more involved in the game. Every time he got his hands on the ball last week, returning kickoffs, they had great field position right away, usually on the opposition's half of the field. So those are some real keys that will help them win this game.
You mentioned that tall defensive line. Adam Morrison, newcomer to the Huskies, had a game, and he picked up a sack in this one as well.
Right, and he's one of the handful of new Hilltops that joined the program, and he's been playing very well for them in the short time he's been there. He's one player that really goes to the ball fast, and they love his pursuit. I know Coach Aaron Moser really talked about him a lot, and they really like what he can do as far as pursuing the quarterback.
All right, the Huskies take on the Alberta Golden Bears. That game happening on Saturday. It's the late game. But we've got 2 other games in Canada West as we move now to this week's predictions. And the first game is the Friday night game where Regina, 1-0, taking on Manitoba. Tom?
Regina's definitely going to put up some points, but I think Manitoba's the more complete team. Plus, Manitoba cannot afford to dig themselves an 0-2 hole, so I'll take the Bisons by 7.
Dallas?
And considering the Bisons are at home, I definitely think, they're the better team in every aspect, so I think they're going to take it by at least 2 touchdowns.
This is, for me, the toughest matchup of the week of the 3 games. And, Regina's got such a good aerial attack. I like the Rams, what we saw in week 1. But, yeah, you're right. The Bisons, can you really see this team going 0-2? I think I'll take Manitoba by a field goal. Second game happens on Saturday, the early game. Calgary 1-0 against UBC. UBC played them hard in the playoffs in Canada West. Who do you like in this one, Tom?
I like Calgary. UBC did not live up to their eyebrow-raising number 7 ranking in the first release of the top 10, and they suffer their second loss this week. Dinos by 17.
Dallas?
Yeah, I'm going to say Dinos by 30. I think the Dinos are just a much more complete team, and the T-Birds were a little bit overrated by a few people, I think, and they'll be good come season's end, but right now I think Dinos are well ahead of them.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you guys, but I do think UBC will keep it somewhat close. Calgary by 14. So I think we're unanimous across the board in all of these. In the final matchup of the week in Canada West, it is the Huskies in Edmonton taking on the Alberta Golden Bears, and I think we all know who we're going to pick in this one, but we'll start at the end of the table.
Yeah, the Huskies were the last team to lose to Alberta. They don't want to be the bookends to this losing streak of theirs. The final offensive play the Huskies run will be the victory formation. Dogs by 14.
All right, Dallas?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, although I think the Dogs will put up a few more points and the spread will be a little larger.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little larger too. I don't think we'll see Calgary, Alberta kind of a margin, but I think it'll be 24 points for the Huskies. And if you're ready for this week, the Huskies taking on the Alberta Golden Bears, and these games throughout Canada West on CanadaWest.tv, but Alberta and Saskatchewan, the radio broadcast on CK 750 as well. So that'll do it from the Huskies All Access Studios here for another week. On behalf of the Outsiders, Tom and Dallas, I'm Darren DuPont, and we hope you'll be back with us next week.